On October 31st, 2021, this Halloween special comes from the channel Wild Bear. On this night of all nights, she heads straight into one of England's most notorious paranormal hotspots, Clawful, a place buried in legends of witchcraft, devil worship, and centuries of grave desecration. It's the kind of location people warn you about, the kind you're not meant to stay in after dark.
Hello, wild ones. I'm back! Trying something a bit different today. So I'm going to be camping at a creepy church with a history of satanic ritual and witchcraft. So yeah, this is Wild Bear coming to you from Clawful.
Clawful's reputation is no exaggeration. At its heart stands the abandoned St. Mary's Church, a decaying ruin with a history soaked in darkness. For decades, it has been linked to satanic rituals, disturbed graves, and even murder. The church is now sealed off, protected by alarms and security after repeated intrusions. These weren't rumors. There are verified accounts of graves being dug up, human bones arranged on altars, and animals, including a sacrificed cockerel, left behind in ritualistic displays. Whatever happened here wasn't symbolic folklore. It was real, and it left scars.
Unfortunately, I can't camp at the actual church because I've said satanic rituals. Over the years, people have dug up bones and all sorts from graves. There's been a down on the A6, known as the A6, the road just over there, I believe. So yeah, lots has happened here, and understandably the church has been closed for overnight visitors, and there are cameras and alarms everywhere.
Because of the heavy monitoring around the church, Claire chooses to camp nearby, tucked into a small stretch of woodland. Her setup is minimalist and exposed: a bivvy, a tarp, no backup shelter, just enough to survive the night, not enough to feel safe. She places her trust entirely in the thin barrier between herself and whatever moves through these woods after dark.
Hi! I love owls. Hello. I don't know what that noise is.
As night closes in, the silence doesn't last. It fractures. First comes a high-pitched screech, sharp enough to cut through the trees. At first, she thinks it might be a child. Later, reviewing the footage, she realizes it sounds far more animalistic, aggressive, distorted, possibly a fox, but not quite. Then comes another sound, something worse, a mechanical buzzing echoing through the forest, like an electrical appliance, a vacuum cleaner, an alarm, completely out of place, impossible to explain. Even she admits it unsettles her far more than it should.
Look at this beautiful one. It's huge. Look, see how big that is. Compared to my hand. Oh, gorgeous. Hi, mushroom. Okay. I've lost my bed. How have I lost my bed? Okay, that's not even funny. Right, okay. I'm trying not to get disoriented. Where did I come from? Oh my God, it's over there. Thank God. Okay. Maybe I stay near my bed now. Okay.
While filming mushrooms not far from camp, Claire suddenly loses her sense of direction. For a few seconds, she can't find her bivvy. It's only moments before she relocates it, but those moments matter. In woods tied to cult activity, disorientation doesn't feel accidental. That brief lapse is enough to shift the night's energy completely. What began as quirky Halloween adventure turns into something genuinely wrong.
You see the red eyes over there? I'm just going to assume they were deer eyes. Freaky. Really freaky. I don't like the red eyes. I keep telling myself it's just because I had my red light on my head torch, that's why the eyes look red. And if I had the white light on, they would have just been white, because they're just deer eyes. But it's all that talk of devil worship and stuff, and then seeing red eyes in the woods, it's not the one. Proper giving myself the heebie-jeebies now. And I will welcome the sunrise.
The sounds don't stop. Grinding noises echo through the trees. Crows cry out, owls call, deer bark somewhere in the distance. Each noise stacks on top of the last, tightening the tension. Eventually, she settles into her sleeping bag, trying to reclaim a sense of calm. She switches on her red headlamp, breathes, and looks out into the forest. That's when she sees them. A pair of glowing red eyes, fixed on her from the edge of the bushes, watching, unmoving. Time freezes. She doesn't breathe. The eyes blink once, then disappear into the darkness. She tells herself it was probably a deer, that the red glow was caused by her red filtered headlamp, which reflects differently than white light. The explanation makes sense, but the fear doesn't leave. Seeing red eyes blink back at her near a site infamous for satanic rituals is enough. She refuses to look outside the bivvy again for the rest of the night. She closes her eyes and waits for morning.
Morning! So cozy. That's where the eyes were last night. This is a bit strange. So, look at this tree here. That's been cut with an axe or something. There's no stump down here, so this tree's been cut with an axe and placed here, like jammed in with this one. What would be the point of that? That's just strange, isn't it? Why would you axe a tree down and then pin it to another tree? And I was sleeping just here, so if that had fallen down, that'd just like skewer me in my sleep. That's really bizarre.
Daylight brings no comfort. As she breaks down camp, she notices something nearby that doesn't belong. A tree that has been chopped with an axe, then deliberately jammed into another standing tree, forming an unnatural, almost symbolic structure. It doesn't look accidental. It looks intentional. Between the history of clawful, the mechanical noises in the woods, the eye contact in the darkness, and the disturbing tree arrangement, Claire ends her trip knowing this place has left a mark. Despite her upbeat attitude, She admits she won't be returning anytime soon, and after seeing what unfolded here in the dark, you might not want to either. UK Carry Outdoors is a channel built around the idea that solo wild camping can be calm, controlled, and familiar. The host, Carrie, focuses on safety, preparation, and choosing locations she knows well, places meant to feel comforting rather than threatening. Her videos often blend practical gear talk, like her trusted Van Gogh Banshee tent, with honest reflections on how even experienced campers can feel their nerves tighten once darkness falls and the woods begin to breathe around them. On November 13th, 2025, she arrived late in the day, returning to a familiar spot beside a stream. It should have felt reassuring. Instead, the fading light worked against her. Within an hour of arrival, the woods were swallowed by complete darkness, and just moments before the tent was fully set up, an unexpected sound tore through the quiet.
Well, it is now 7:20, so it's less than an hour. I don't know if my camera picked that up, but that was... I don't know what that was, but that was scary. I think it's a deer or something in the woods. That was quite scary. Yeah, it's literally 7:20 now, and as you can see, it's really dark already. So less than an hour from when I arrived, and I've already lost daylight, so it's pretty dark in the woods. But the tent is up. I'm out in the Banshee tonight. I haven't used this since I got it, so I'm really excited to sleep in this because I love this tent. I've slept in one before, so yeah, looking forward to spending my first night in that. When I tell you there's some really strange noises going on in the woods tonight, and even though the rational part of your brain is saying, oh, it's the deer, it really does set your anxiety off. Sorry you can't really see me, it's so dark. Obviously I'm relying on the head torch, but I've heard some really, really crazy noises which I've tried to pick up on camera for you guys.
She pauses, listening. The noise is unsettling enough that her first thought is a deer. That single assumption sets the tone for the entire night. While the rational part of her mind insists that deer are common here, the woods refuse to stay quiet. Strange, continuous noises echo from beyond the tree line, steadily feeding her anxiety. She openly acknowledges the difference between knowing what something probably is and being alone in the pitch-black forest while it's happening. As she settles into the tent, the stream offers brief comfort, its steady flow masking the silence. But then another sound cuts through, louder, harsher, more aggressive. Later, she captures it on camera, a deep, angry, guttural noise that doesn't fade quickly. The sound keeps returning. Since darkness fell, the noises haven't stopped at all. While the likely explanation is the heavy deer population in these woods, isolation changes everything. In the vast blackness, every snap, scream, and rustle feels closer than it should. Her thoughts spiral. What was that? Then again, what was that? Eventually, around 11 p.m., she decides to call it a night, acknowledging how the unnerving sounds have interrupted what was meant to be a chilled, relaxing camp. She wakes at 7:45 in the morning, daylight finally pushing back the shadows. With a hot coffee in hand, the woods look calmer, safer, but the noise hasn't stopped. The same animal sound she believed was a deer the night before is still echoing through the area, just as loud, just as persistent. With daylight comes clarity. The sound is too constant, too intense to belong to a wandering deer. She begins to piece it together. There must be farmland nearby. The noise, so terrifying in the dark, is likely coming from a farm animal. What had felt like relentless screaming through the night had slowly become nothing more than background noise. Despite the fear, despite the hours of overthinking and amplified anxiety, UK Carry Outdoors completes the solo wild camp successfully. The night stands as a reminder of how quickly the imagination can turn against you in total darkness, and how daylight can strip the fear away, leaving behind a simple, non-threatening explanation. Carrie reports a surprisingly good night's sleep, reaffirming her love for tent camping, and closes out another successful, relaxing trip. in a place she knows well. But the question remains, what do you make of this encounter? Let us know in the comments. Safety Third is a YouTube channel run by an urban explorer named Jed, a man who willingly steps into places long abandoned by time and memory. His expeditions take him deep into the wilderness in search of forgotten mine systems, rotting entrances, unstable tunnels, and the silent scars left behind by industries that vanished decades ago. His videos often focus on physical danger, collapsing rock, flooded shafts, and rusted steel. But one solo expedition uploaded on January 1st, 2025, would remind him that not all threats come from the ground beneath your feet. Some are already watching. The day began like countless others. Jed set out alone, heading toward a remote valley rumored to contain several abandoned mines. Even reaching the area was a test. An old looming railroad bridge marked the beginning of the journey, followed by a wide creek that had to be crossed on foot.
We've been in this area before. We're in the west part, so it's kind of a toss up here. But there is this old railroad bridge. This thing is very old and it's very big. We need to get across Rock Creek. If it's the Shalatoe Trace Trail, it's a pretty famous trail. It probably has a bridge we can use. And then we can just go through the woods to access what we want. So we'll probably just cross the creek. I'm just gonna put the waterproof covers on my shoes and cross here.
With waterproof covers pulled over his boots, he waded through the freezing water, unaware that the silence around him was already changing. The wilderness felt heavy, still, like it was waiting. Then, without warning, a violent crash echoed across the hillside. Something large had been disturbed. Something had rolled or fallen down the slope with enough force to shake the air.
Just heard something big over that way. It was big. Could have been a tree rolling down the hill, maybe just happened to collapse. I don't know. Having everything else though, so it's probably a tree. It was big though, made a lot of racket.
Jed paused. He told himself it was probably just a tree giving way. The explanation made sense, but the feeling that followed did not. A slow, creeping sensation settled in, the unmistakable awareness of being watched. Not long after, another sound broke through the quiet, a sharp, deliberate wood knock, rhythmic and intentional.
Something's knocking wood up there. I don't know, that's weird. What is that, man? It seems like maybe it's a squirrel cracking a nut or something. I don't know. I want to go over here and check this because my curiosity is killing me. The fact that they put up a sign and there's a concrete structure.
Again, he tried to rationalize it. Wildlife, natural causes, anything logical. But with every step forward, the certainty grew stronger. He was not alone. That feeling stayed with him until he finally located the mines.
They freaking gated it. They're putting gate. You gotta be kidding me. We're back to the gates now? We're back to the gates now. We're freaking nowhere, dude. There's a guide wire loop holder thing, stake. Some kind of pipe.
One entrance immediately stood out, a promising mine sealed shut with heavy, welded steel bars. This wasn't decay or collapse. Someone had gone out of their way to block it off, either to keep people out or to keep something in. The deliberate nature of the seal only deepened the mystery and fueled his determination to uncover what was being hidden.
Not even a little bit. But there's artifacts. How do we get over this? I bet that sucker goes somewhere too. This old electrical, freaking concrete man door. I can't tell how old that is. How is this even in there? Is it bolted? Oh, it's welded and then they bolted into the rock.
Another entrance was completely blocked by a thick concrete structure. He attempted to slip inside, but failed. Then he found yet another mine. This one was gated, but different. This one looked like the discovery he had been searching for all day.
With the gate. We'll shine a light in anyway. See what we're missing. It looks like we're missing a good one. Good grief, y'all. Yeah, we're missing a real good one. Look at that.
Leaning in close, Jed shined his flashlight through the bars. Inside, he could see a wide tunnel stretching deep into the darkness. It looked stable, inviting even, and then the woods screamed.
And it's dry. What the freak? That was weird.
A sudden guttural sound tore through the trees. It was not an animal. It was human-like, a twisted mix of a hoot and a holler that echoed from multiple directions, bouncing off the forest as if the sound itself was moving. The air shifted instantly. Though visibly shaken, Jed chose to press on. But the excitement of exploration was gone. The woods no longer felt empty.
Dude, you know how stoked I would be if I found something like this accessible? Yeah, maybe. Might go up and around. Look at this. So that was a big deal. You can get around that collapse, it looks like, to the right there. These aren't even that old, man. I mean, it could be totally collapsed right there, but that is a legit coal mine. Not even that old. Not as old as most that we've seen here, you know. But if I were to find something like this without that gate, you better believe I'm putting on the water covering, or the boot coverings, and I'm going in there. That would be amazing.
Every sealed mine he encountered now felt less like a barrier and more like a warning, proof that this was a place he was never meant to access. Eventually, he abandoned the search entirely, retreating toward the safety of a known hiking trail, the sound replaying in his mind over and over again.
That was a good trip. I mean, we didn't get to go inside of anything crazy, but still got to see some cool stuff. You saw Koga Arch, it's good, real good. Cars up here, and my legs hurt. I went a long ways.
Jed left the woods that day without entering a single mine, but he walked away with something far more important, his life. The source of that horrifying sound remains unknown. Was it another person attempting to scare him off, or something else that didn't want to be found? One thing is certain, whatever lay behind those steel bars was being protected, and Jed was lucky he didn't stay long enough to learn why. And that wraps up tonight's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and check the cards on screen for more disturbing encounters caught on camera. And as always, stay safe out there, because not all of them belong to animals.